The Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 113 of the Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I'm co-host Junior. To my right is co-host Nick, and to his right is producer Vince. Our first episode of the new NHL calendar season, I should say.
Right.
We are Sunday night. The league starts in 2 days.
2 days.
Are we ready?
We are recording on October the 5th. This episode comes to you live from our new studio. In the
Yeah.
same location as before, with a brand new wall and some nice memorabilia as well. Very excited, guys, for this new year. I know I say I'm excited every episode, but I'm truly excited.
Well, congratulations to everybody. By now, most of your drafts, if not all your drafts, are done. I know we here have our own partial breakaway draft to do in another episode coming next episode. But we also have one more draft, a redraft league on Tuesday night.
Oh, yes, we do have a redraft league on Tuesday night.
So that'll be fun.
So babe, I'm not home Tuesday night.
Oh, boy.
Before I toss it over to Vince to talk about our beautiful Partial Breakaway Listener League, I want to tell you guys where you can follow along. Follow us on our social medias at Instagram, X, TikTok at Partial Break Pod. Like and subscribe on YouTube. If you want to listen to our podcast, any audio podcast platform has our show. So just search Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast, and you'll find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're there. Vince, off to you, baby, for our listener league.
Well, our listener league. I mean, we're gonna go in depth in this episode about the listener league. But for anybody who's interested, I think the deadline is
Tomorrow.
Technically, it's Tuesday before 4 p.m.
Oh, yes.
But, I mean, don't wait last minute. You have a day and a half left before the actual registration closes.
yeah. So we have about 40 teams registered right now, which picked up the last week, especially picked up.
Yeah.
So listen, if you guys are interested, like we said, like we've been saying every episode, come in, DM us. We'll give you guys the link. The link is also
Pretty much your last chance.
Yeah, the link
all
is
our
also
socials,
on our social. So just click the link. You don't even have to DM us if you don't like us.
And just one thing is there seems to be an issue with PayPal and Fantrax. So if you can avoid using PayPal to pay your registration fee, which is $15 US, then it'll save you a lot of problems.
Guys, as an official intro to this episode,
Do it, Nick.
I just want to mention, like, this time of the year, it's October, and hope springs eternal.
Here we go.
Look, there's some teams that are coming off some great times. The champs sobered up quickly, though, when they're defending to defend their title when their captain went down. Right? Can their magical three-peat still happen? Will their state rivals have anything to say about it?
Sounds like they want something to say about it.
How will Edmonton keep McDavid happy? Like, these are storylines coming into the season, right? Is the injection of youth good enough to keep McDavid happy in Edmonton? Did Vegas just get their upper hand in the West? Right? They just got somebody in the name of Mitch that came over. Is that enough to bring them over Edmonton, who seems to be their number one rival in the West? Can Toronto continue being dominant in the Atlantic without their local boy wonder? Sid the Kid stays a Penguin? Ovechkin continues his record-breaking finale? Is it a finale? Is it a curtain call after this season?
He hasn't announced it.
Talking about record-breaking, how does Minnesota navigate the choppy waters that is Kirill the Thrill's record-setting contract? 17 mil. Bedard, is he better than Celebrini or vice versa? Snugerud versus Demidov for the Calder. It's storyline season, ladies and gentlemen. Every team has a storyline. Hope springs eternal to begin a new season. Whether you're a fantasy manager or a real manager, you all actually have a chance. You're all in first place as of right now, but maybe not by the end of this week.
Well, yeah, by the end of this week, I'll be first from the bottom.
Tanking again.
Thanking again.
Tanking again.
Oh, are you guys ready for the? It's back. Are you guys ready?
Oh my gosh, guys.
Oh my God.
Our routine's
Wait,
coming
wait,
back.
wait, wait,
It's
wait,
feeling
wait,
good.
wait.
I'm feeling the electricity in the veins. Whether you're chasing goals, breaking records, or building champions, Sportira has your team covered. Custom uniform, premium textiles, fast turnaround. From the field to the court, from grassroots to pros, Sportira brings your game to life. Outthink, outwork, outplay. www.sportira.com.
Odd Man Rush.
I was about to swear. Effing right, baby. It's back.
It's back.
The Odd Man Rush is back, ladies and gentlemen. And today's host, by the way, brought to you by Sportira, which is the reason that we played that little promo. Vince, why don't you hit us off with the Odd Man Rush?
My will.
And what is the Odd Man Rush for those of you that actually haven't heard about it before?
We take news and notes and trends of the NHL and turn them into 30-second takes, which usually last 3 minutes, especially when I'm hosting, because these two guys just don't want to stop talking. And obviously, like Nick said, it is sponsored by Sportira. If you want to visit them, www.sportira.com. And yeah, so listen, there's not much game time information in the NHL, but there is a lot of contract talks in the NHL. So we're going to go through a few contracts that were signed. And well, we'll start, Nick, we'll start off with the one you announced, my friend. Kirill Kaprizov, record-breaking contract, 8 years, $17 million.
So
Nick, you go. I'll give you the floor on this one.
So there's two parts to listen to this, or two parts to think about when you're thinking about this contract. Number one, for Minnesota fans out there, you got to keep Kirill the Thrill for another 8 years. So you're stoked about that, regardless of the contract. And I know you're all saying about the contract, and it makes sense because, you know, it's a lot of money to give to somebody. You're paying him more than McDavid. You're paying him more than Draisaitl. You're paying him more than anybody else in the league. However, he is that important to Minnesota, and Minnesota is well established that they have a lot of good long-term contracts that are not too expensive, and they have some good youth coming in that's going to be on ELC contracts, like a Ziv William, for example, right? Maybe a Riley Height. Like, there's a couple of guys that are going to come in that might save you on those contracts. And you just came out of cap hell, right? By
Yeah.
getting rid of the Suter
Parisi
and
and
Parisi
Suter.
contracts.
Yeah.
But you gave it all to Kirill, and it kind of makes sense, though, right? Now, that's Minnesota's point of view. From a fantasy manager's point of view, this kills Kirill's value, in my opinion. Because whether he's 100 points or not, like he gets 100 points in a year, maybe 105 points, it's still $17 million if you're in a cap league.
Yeah, it'll kill you this cap league and next year's cap league. But
It's a
when
good
the
point.
cap goes
Guys,
higher,
don't forget, this year's only 9 million.
It's
yeah,
not this
yeah,
year,
exactly.
it's
So-
next
and-
year.
Only.
so it might kill you next year cap league. But the year after that, I mean, the salary cap is going up, and if you're in a dynasty league, usually you follow the salary cap of the NHL plus whatever. So I don't think I don't think it's that bad of a contract. I just feel like Minnesota next year when his 17 million starts, Tarasenko comes off the books, Zuccarello comes off the books. That's $9 million. So basically, you gave him the 7 million, but you got other players to sign after that, and like.
Well, they signed the important ones.
But I think they're saving grace, and I think Nick said it before, was getting Boldy to $7 million for 7 years.
I just want to add one last thing. So the NHL salary cap projections for the next 3 years. So it's 95.5 this year, projected 104 next year, and 113.5 2027, 2028. So basically 9 million a year. But they're already saying that it's probably going to be even higher than that.
So there's a colleague of his
Yeah, so we're going to stick with Minnesota because there's two other contracts that they also signed. One was an RFA, which is Marco Rossi. So 3 years, 5 million. The surprising one to me, Philip Gustafsson, 5 years, 6.8. Junior, these two contracts. What is it telling you, especially with the rookie goalie, which we all thought was going to make that next step this year?
So the first thing is Marco Rossi. I don't know why it took so long because he's their number one center. There's Eriksson Ek. Right now, he's been slated to play with Kaprasov and Boldy. I think that's going to be one of the craziest lines this year. So to have Rossi at less than $6 million playing on the top line with a 35 goal scorer and a 100-point player, that's money, man. You thought Kirill Kaprasov could kill your team. Marco Rossi could boost your team. Then Gustafsson, man, Wallstead owners are probably shaking right now. What do I do with Wallstead? This guy signed, what was it, 6 years, we said? He signed 6 years.
Almost 7 mil.
And Wallstead is at that age now where he's supposed to be ready to be an NHL starter. So at 6.5, is that 1A, 1B money? Or look,
It sounds more like 1A money right now.
if Gustafsson keeps up the numbers, and like that's what we've been saying all offseason, right? Is that he's really good 1 year and average another year. Really good 1 year, average the other. So if he could come back with another really good year, he's going to be the starter of this team.
I also want to mention Joel Eriksson Ek has 4 more years at 5.2.
Really good cap management.
Rossi has 3 more years at 5. So now your top 2 line centers are a total of 10 million,
That's it.
right? So that's where they're kind of
And your
gaining.
and your number one winger is 7 million. And Boldy, like we said.
Well, your number 2 winger because
Yeah.
Kaprizov is your number 1.
Kaprasov, yeah.
But yeah, I get it. Yeah, absolutely. So you have even Boldy signed pretty long term. So again, this is another reason why they're in an okay position as Minnesota fans.
Yeah.
It's just if you're a fantasy league
You-
guy, you're hurting with 17 million.
Yeah. And
You're-
look, we
listen.
know in loose pucks, Yellowknife, so GM Tino and co-GM Johnny, they have Gustafsson and Kirill Kaprizov
That's 2 big
and
races.
Jackson Lacombe, which we're going to get to in a bit.
Well, let's get to him. Unless anybody else has something to say.
And I'm just gonna say in our Lama League,
Pete has the Kaprizov.
traded me Shesterkin because he
He
just
couldn't afford it.
couldn't afford all these big contracts that were coming up.
Yeah.
Next, Toronto Maple Leafs might have lost Mitch Marner, as you all know, but they signed Anthony Stolarz to a 4-year, $3.75 million. Nick, does this solidify that they're hoping they're the number one? He's the number one goalie in Toronto, or are you still seeing that Wool can take that away from him?
Well, I think it's a 1A, 1B. This is like the clearest 1A, 1B that there is in the league.
Okay,
Because you have Stolarz now at what did we say?
3.75.
3.75. And I think Wool is at
3.66.
3.66. Like they have identical contracts pretty much. So this is Toronto saying we have 2 goalies. We're going to ride with both of them for a total of 7 million.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right. So like Stolarz had very good numbers last year. He had 70% quality start percentage. He had 21 wins. He had a 214 goals against average and a 926 save percentage. The year before that, he had 925 save percentage. So this is not something new for Stolarz. The difference is he doesn't play even half the games, right? He played 34 games last year, still got hurt, right? So you're kind of looking at somebody that could, he's a bit of a Band-Aid boy. He's a bit of a papier-mâché that we call here on this podcast. So loose leaf paper, right? You have to hope that one of these guys, and that's why I think you need 2, right? For Toronto, that's why I think you need 2 of these guys.
I think for their team,
This makes
it's
sense.
the perfect build. Two really good goalies that when they play a limited amount
Could be elite.
have really good numbers.
Yeah.
So fantasy relevance. You're not if it's a 1A 1B, you're not taking Stolarz in your top 10 goalies right now.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Depends how the scoring system works.
Everything depends on whether or not it's a daily lineup or not.
If it's a redraft league,
Well, it's still, you could be a daily lineup and a redraft league, right? But I picked
Like if you have lock lineups, less.
So I picked Stolarz as like my 3rd first round pick in a year-long league that's not daily, right? he still had good enough numbers that helped me.
Okay.
However, if you're only counting wins and if you're counting saves, 34 games played might not be enough in a year to be worth it. So you have to look into that. You have to pay attention to that.
The only thing though, 34 games was because he got injured.
Yeah,
But if
either way,
if they're
he would've
fully
played, what,
healthy,
40,
I think he
41?
still plays about
Okay,
plus
so
40 plus
If it's a daily,
45.
Vejmelka, who does not have this good numbers, might play 60 games.
Yeah.
So just if saves are worth a lot, right?
yeah.
You might be better off with Vejmelka than you are with Stolars.
So in a daily league, Storlars has more value than a weekly league
Because you could put him in,
Oh, yeah.
put him
because
out.
you can prep. Okay.
Makes sense.
I'll put these next two together because it's two defensemen.
He's always putting them together.
But it's because it's two defensemen that have, I don't know, like we when we go to work, when we try to apply for a new job, we do a CV, and we say what we've done on this, right?
What are you telling your wife right now?
So like, these two guys don't have much to write on their CV, but yet, Luke Hughes, 7 years, 9 million, Jackson Lacombe, 8 years, 9 million. First question, which one surprised you the most? Second question is, which one or neither of them will be regrettable?
Surprising. If anyone says it's not Jackson Lacombe, they're smoking some good pot. Like the guy, he played 71 games in 2023-2024 and got 17 points. Okay. He was averaging 19 minutes of ice time. Then in 2024, he must have ate a spinach, became Popeye, and got 43 points in 75 games. Now, what's 43 points in 75 games? It's $9 million. That's
Well-
wild, man.
Look, he was a top, 20 almost defenseman in the league for that season. But they must see something in him that they're really gung-ho about
Well,
this.
that's what I was going to get to. What's really encouraging is that this extension happened after the new coach, Joel Quenneville, saw him at training camp and had a few games and a few practices to know what he's all about. So I feel comfortable as a fantasy GM going into the season with a Jackson Lacombe. I'm a Zellweger fan, and now I'm worried.
But this is so with this contract of Lacombe, let's say we're talking about Lacombe first. What does it say about fantasy owners that have Zellweger or Minchukov?
I think that Lacombe is clearly the number one defenseman on this team right now. They're paying him as such.
Yeah.
And regardless of how much internally we prefer a Zellweger or a Minchukov, Anaheim just showed their hand. This is who they think is their number one guy. So, you don't pay Lacombe $9 million to be a second pairing guy on the second power play.
No, and just a
Right. defensive
specialist. Like you don't pay defensemen $9 million to be defense. Because they're your number one offensive option. So Luke Hughes.
Luke Hughes makes a little bit more sense because he's got a track record now of 2 consecutive years at 40 plus points. And I get it, 9 million is still high, but
The way the cap is going.
The way the cap is going,
9
yeah, you have
million-
to anticipate that that's going to be an average salary. I mean, Darnell Nurse made 9 million, Werenski's making 9 million. Those contracts were signed a couple of years ago.
I'm sorry.
Quite a
Nick,
few years ago.
I'm just gonna say the thing with contracts now is that I feel players are signing contracts for the salary cap in 2 years because the NHL not showed their hand, but showed what the salary cap will be
The
at.
projections, yeah.
The projections, agents said, well, in 3 years when salary cap goes up 7 million, 8 million, he's gonna be on a good contract for you. So that's why. But like Luke Hughes,
I was just
7.
going to mention, that's how Toronto got in trouble.
Yeah, of course.
Of
I
course,
know.
nobody's predicting another
No.
shutdown, but that's how
Yeah,
Toronto
that's
got.
what
how-
screwed them.
yeah,
Toronto
screwed
got
them.
screwed. Let's be
So
honest.
Luke Hughes, Nick, 7 times 9 million right now could be a hard cap hit to receive as a dynasty league owner. But can he take over? Because we got to remember, we forget New Jersey still has Hamilton. They still had Nemec that they drafted second overall. So where do you see this going with Luke Hughes?
Well, I think Luke Hughes is the future there. And I think Nemec right now is unfortunately on the back burner. He's being left behind. And it's not that, different players develop at different speeds. And Luke Hughes always had that offensive pedigree. And you're going to pay for the offensive pedigree. So to me, Hamilton is still in his way for this year, but I don't think Hamilton will be in his way in the following years. I think this contract clearly shows that their goal is to have Luke Hughes as their top power play guy, top defenseman, top everything on this team, puck mover, everything.
Look, I think this contract negotiation hurt him because had he been at training camp, I think he probably would have cracked power play one because he's done it in season where he's taken over for Hamilton while Hamilton was healthy. So I think that hurts him, and that's good for Dougie Hamilton GMs because he should get the power play time at least. I mean, unless that power play struggles, they're gonna put Luke Hughes in a lot faster. But if that power play is going, Luke Hughes now has to wait.
Well, actually, it's funny that you said this. I'm looking at my phone right now just to see if the trade offer that I made for Hamilton is going to pan out. So I have.
You didn't message me.
No, it's not. It's not in any leagues that you're in. In one of my leagues, though, I have Luke Hughes, and I'm trying to trade for Hamilton as a 1-year rental, just to have Hamilton in there for this year, and then Luke Hughes is going to be my future for the New Jersey Devils, and I think that's exactly what it's going to be. Ring that bell.
Next, this was a long lockout. A lot of rumors about him being traded, but at the end they got it done. Mason McTavish, 6 times, 6 years, $7 million. Leo Carlson, centerman number 1, McTavish number 2, or are we switching that up, Dick?
Well, I'm going to listen to Victor Nuno, who had come on our podcast and had mentioned, from Dauber Hockey, by the way, and he does things for McKean.
Fantasy Hockey Life.
Yeah, Fantasy Hockey Life, yeah. He mentioned that Leo Carlson is the number 1 guy there, talent-wise, and he'll always be the number 1 guy, talent-wise, whereas McTavish is going to be more of that second-line player. Now, I see McTavish being maybe a 70-point second-line player, and $7 million is very nice for a 70-point second-line player. I just don't know if he has the upside right now to be, how can I say this? Not fantasy relevant. He is fantasy relevant,
But like a prominent player.
a prominent fantasy relevant player. And that's what scares me a little bit. But he's only 22 years old. We forget how young this guy is.
Because he came in so young.
That's right. So he's already played almost three full seasons. And he's only 22 years old. So
He put up like 40 first year, 43, second year. Second year he was
sophomore.
He was he was on pace for 54.
He was on pace. He's 42 points in 64 games second year. Third year, 52 points in 76. And 52, people thought he had an off season. Imagine that.
The
I
thing
think
with
there's a lot of promise.
he's very streaky too, right? Like you saw last year that he went through that phase. I think it was, I don't know if it was right before the Four Nations or right after. He went on a crazy, ridiculous stretch where he was getting points every game. But what's encouraging for McTavish is that he's gotten better every year, and he hasn't cracked 17 minutes of ice time yet.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of McTavish. I understand that there's upside. I'm not a huge fan of McTavish, but I think he's going to be a very solid real life player.
What needs to happen for McTavish to be really prominent is if he can crack power play one. And as we speak, he's not on power play
Like we're
one.
gonna go back to last year when you hear this. It's done. Okay.
When you don't
so-
forget to push.
So these
That's
are
why he doesn't host it. Usually.
these are mentions. So honorable mentions that we have. I'll go with the first three. Bowen Byram, 2 years, 6.25. Fowler with St. Louis, 3 years, 6.1. Spencer Knight with Chicago, three times 5.8. Bowen Byram has Owen Powers has the lean in front of him. Fowler seems like they signed him to be that number 1 defenseman because there's nobody behind him. They had Broberg, who had a good season. They got Mayu, who's a young defenseman. And Spencer Knight. What does this say about their young goalies, Comesso and was it Harbaugh or the other guy that they drafted?
I don't know. Between them and Utah, I forget Gajan, Rabal.
Gajan, because Harbaugh was Utah. So, Nick, pick one, talk about him.
Well, it's funny that all three of these are actually shorter term contracts.
Yeah.
It's like kind of not prove it contracts, but it's we have other plans as well, kind of thing. So that's why I think the Spencer Knight thing at 3 years is perfect, because Spencer Knight gets the opportunity to show what he could do for the next 3 years. And then if they're not tied to him, if he doesn't perform in those 3 years, so they could easily drop him and have one of those Gajan or Hrabal or whatever you said, Comesso, take over from there. Fowler, I think it's the same kind of thing, but he's also older, right? He's much older.
Yeah.
So 3 years makes a lot more sense for that. But I think that he is showing that he's going to be the number one power play guy on that team at 6.1 million. And that's always valuable for fantasy hockey. And it's a pretty decent contract for a number one power play guy.
I would say don't sleep on Byron, because first of all, he's on a pair with Darlene. So that means a lot of ice time. He might not get power play 1, but I think he was managing to get decent points without power play 1. And I think now being constantly on a pair with Darlene, like, they can have 2 guys with 40 plus points.
And Spencer Knight, we talked about how McTavish is only 22. Spencer Knight is only 24 years old.
Yeah, which is exactly the age that
where
goalies start.
Exactly. Finally, the last 3 honorable mentions. I mean, these are really
Deep leagues.
deep
Candidates.
leagues. Zari, 3 years at 3.7. Lafreniere, 3 years at 4.1. Evangelista just signed 2 years at 3 million. Out of these 3, is there any of them that are fantasy relevant if you're doing a redraft league?
Well, if you allow me,
Go.
I'm
To
going to speak
introduce myself. My name is Okay, sorry.
every
Off topic
episode.
again.
He has to
I
always
took a break
sing.
during the previews.
And because of that, you maybe misclicked the wrong person.
Should I go first?
No.
Damn it. You're gonna-
Lafreniere.
I knew it.
I want to speak about Lafreniere because he is more than just a deep league guy.
You just want to rub it in because I dropped it.
He has
eh?
3 years at 4.1 million. He is a player that he is a
Sure
player
is, Nick.
that I always get confused with Lafreniere.
Usually everyone I say is a player, Nick, but go ahead.
All right. Sorry, I'm having Alex Lafreniere. Here we go. So, 24 years old. So he's 23.9. So he's almost there. 42 points last year, but it was his second season in the NHL, and he started becoming fantasy relevant. Maybe in a deep league, like you said, but he was starting to become fantasy relevant, and I think that's just going to continue going. 16 minutes of time on ice. If that goes up to 17 and a half, now you're looking at a point pace that could be a 50, 55 point pace, and that makes him even more fantasy relevant if he continues going in this trajectory.
I would love to disagree with you, but I agree with you because first of all, I've had him in loose pucks as a depth guy. So whenever I had an injury, I needed someone for a certain week, I would plug him in, and it was hit or miss. Right? There's weeks he had good weeks, and there's weeks where he didn't get any points. But he was playing on a line with Dano and Dominic Moore. Now he's being deployed with Byfield and Fiala. So if that stays at that cap hit in cap leagues, he can be pretty. He can be pretty valuable.
Finally, we had a trade. Did Edmonton solve their goaltending problems by getting Connor Ingram for
Oh,
future
God.
considerations? Let's pick this week. Nick?
It's not going to be quick because we're going to get into disagreements.
Yeah,
here
we're
and
gonna fight.
Start fighting.
We had this conversation
be
through
like
chat
Tampa-
already.
This is going to be like Tampa, Florida, or Ottawa, Montreal, where the Jackeye brothers come out and show that they're.
We have no
Their
time.
worth.
Go.
Okay,
So
so-
my finger's on the bell, so hurry up.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, Ingram was in Utah. He was starting to come along. He was starting to take over as the number one, maybe, or fighting at least for more ice time with Vejmelka, who is not necessarily a top-end goalie, but he's still a very valuable goalie, Vejmelka. So I think Ingram was really showing something, and then he went into the player assistance program. And that kind of threw off Utah's plans. Now they have Vanacek to back up, so they didn't know what to expect. They went in with Vanacek instead. Ingram might have similar numbers to a Skinner, but I believe that if he continues in the trajectory that he was going in, prior to the player assistance program that he has a chance. I'm not saying he is guaranteed, but he has a chance to be a goalie that could be better than Skinner in Edmonton.
Junior.
I'm not gonna go on a rant
Good.
as much as I really want to, but I get it. From Edmonton, it's a low risk move, right? But at the end of the day, when teams really needed a goalie, they went to get a proven goalie. When New Jersey needed a goalie, who did they go trade for? Markstrom. When Ottawa needed a goalie, who did they go get? Allmark. These are all proven guys that now have been proving it with those teams. Edmonton really needs a goalie. What did they go get? A Skinner 2.0. I get it. He showed signs that he could be better than, but it's not enough of a sample size. 50 games is not enough of a sample size for me to say it's going to help Edmonton in the future.
I just no. Nick, shoot him. Okay, listen. At the end of
No,
the day,
we want good radio, damn it.
Listen, at the end of the day, I don't think that type of goalie was available for Edmonton to go get in the first place. I don't think there was a Markstrom or there was an Allmark for them to go get.
I don't think it was so much
There was
available.
a Gibson available.
I think
Yeah,
it
but
was
he
so
had
much
signed
they
with
didn't want to
Detroit
pay
already.
for
Pay,
it.
exactly. Because
They didn't
were.
have the assets. Never mind.
Before Nick goes on his rant, I'm just gonna say my thing is Connor Ingram is an upgrade on Picard, so Edmonton basically made their team better.
It's a zero risk move because they paid nothing to get him and they got him at a discount because there was some cap retained. However, I will say that this is Edmonton scrambling a bit to get
Ish.
more depth, more goaltending depth when they had the opportunity to draft Wallstad and they didn't. So this is them paying for that mistake because
That's
they
the next
should've-
guy they're going to go trade for.
That's the first mistake that they did was they should have gone after Wallstad. And
Ladies-
that draft, and I'll tell you right now, listener Tasso would agree with me 100%.
Who did they draft? Burgo?
Please,
Nah.
please don't make me. Okay. All right, ladies, and that is our first odd man rush
Of this NHL season. Yes. Applause. That was loud.
Odd Man Rush.
That was explicit.
Nobody heard anything. What are
Okay,
you
so
talking about?
before we get into our second and final segment of our PBLL, which is our Partial Breakaway Listener League, we're going to give it to our DraftKings promotion.
NFL fans, what's your favorite touchdown? For me, it's the next one because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From first touchdown score to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. If I take a look at Monday night's action, which is tomorrow night, Kansas City Chiefs are playing versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in the beautiful state of Florida. You have the option here. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are favorite by 3.5 points. You can go with the total spread at 45.5 or simple money line, as long as you bet within your means. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Now, DraftKings is not available in Quebec, which is where I reside, so if it was, I would. If you do not reside in Quebec and reside in a place where DraftKings is available, I would definitely take a look and sign up. Code THPN. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Wake up to the aroma of fresh bread and warm croissants baked every morning at Boulangerie Pâtisserie Italia. From cannolis to crusty Italian loaves, every bite is made with passion, tradition, and a touch of Italy. Come taste the difference, where every pastry tells a story and every loaf is baked with love. Boulangerie Pâtisserie Italia, situated at 5496 Jean Talon East, Saint Leonard. Come visit.
PBL Muscular League, that Nick affectionately calls Pebble, but no one else likes it. Partial Breakaway Listener.
That's right. I do affectionately call it Pebble, and absolutely nobody likes it. But I'm going to continue calling it Pebble. The PBLL Partial Breakaway Listener League.
I promise you guys next week, Nick will be dressed as Bam Bam.
Guys, this is our league. It's our first ever listener league. We are excited. It's a season-long league. We mentioned that we were going to talk about it a little bit here. We do have lineups of 2 centers, 2 left wings, 2 right wings, 2 defensemen, and 1 goalie. $35 million cap, and you got to play with that in order to come up with the best strategies, the best ideas of how to get your team going. There's still a couple of days, or maybe a day and a half by the time you're listening to this, of registration time available. So if you are a last-minute person like I am usually, you could come in and join the fun. Now, we will be talking about strategies on this segment and our listener league strategies, but this could also, I guess, be applied to regular league strategies, regular redraft leagues, some dynasty leagues, like cap leagues, right? So this goes for everybody pretty much. But specifically, we're going to put it into the line of PBLL tonight. This is brought to you by Patisserie Boulangerie Italia, and thank you again for donating and
Revamping our
studio, because this looks much better than what we had before, which was just a bunch of white walls and a whiteboard that looks stained.
Yeah, that was definitely staying. That's after those team.
We're gonna
previews.
bring it back during the season. I'm sure there's gonna be a few bed boards.
You know what? There will be a few bet boards, absolutely, and Ingram might be one of them. Guys, let's talk about different strategies that we're going to use for PBLL. But again, this could be used for many different fantasy leagues, especially in a cap league. You want to try to find the best value contracts, and it's very hard not to pick ELC contracts that are under $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be aware of all these ELC contracts because there are really good players that are on ELC contracts. I mean, you're looking at Connor Bedard, you're looking at Celebrini, you're looking at Renzel, Lane Hudson.
That's a good pick. Yeah,
like you're looking at because 35 million is such a
restricted
number, you need these ELC contracts to kick in for you. So one of the strategies is be familiar with all the ELC contracts. Just put them as your watch list so you know which players are on ELC that are fantasy relevant.
Junior?
Yeah, I agree. The problem is not the problem, but sometimes you could get in trouble when you rely too much on them.
Yes.
They're
I
ELC
agree.
contracts, which means they're rookies or they're young, really young NHL players.
Some of them in their sophomore year.
Some of them in their sophomore year,
Yeah.
which Vince really is afraid of.
Yeah.
But no, like really, like you're relying on these 18, 19-year-olds to pull through for you. And the reality is the NHL is a very difficult league. So unless you're a superstar or with a young guy with a high pedigree, you're likely to have up and down. And some of those downs might happen on a week you start them. And that's why I would be cautious in the sense that I wouldn't rely heavily on them, even though I have about 3-4 players on the, on my lineup right now with those contracts. But week one is always a little bit different. We'll get to it a little bit later. But yeah, I would just be very cautious with ELC contracts because you don't want to rely too much on just young guys entering the NHL.
I'm gonna jump to something that was written a little bit lower here, but I think that is very related. If you're using a hero and zero strategy, meaning that you have a couple of big contracts, like a Draisaitl, like a McDavid, like a Kaprizov, like a few of those big numbers at the top, and you need to fill out your roster with a bunch of ELCs, this is kind of related, right? Have any of you actually implemented a hero and zero strategy?
Yeah, I definitely implemented. I'm just gonna see which team it was. I think it's this one.
So just to tell people why Mitz is saying which team it was, because you could have multiple teams in PBLL. So if you do want multiple teams, don't feel bad. DM us. It doesn't take much for us to send you another invite to add additional leagues. I think that our co-host over here is the only one with one league right now, but might change in the next couple of days.
Yeah,
And
so
I have 3 leagues.
I have
think
3
you have 3 as
Teams,
well.
teams.
3
Teams.
teams. I'm sorry. And you
Yeah,
have 3
like
as
on
well.
one of my teams, I started with McKinnon, Kaprizov, Quinn Hughes.
Yeah. So
Like
like
those are like all big.
if you think about it, if you have multiple teams, you could try different strategies
Yes,
with
of course.
each and see which one you like better at the end of the year, because this is going to be an annual league, and that's the goal of this league, right?
Yeah, I went with a hero strategy. I went with Hero G. So my first instinct was, and I'm putting my cards on the table. I went with a goalie that I am assured will play 3 games unless he gets hurt, which is Shesterkin.
Wow.
The problem is he takes up 11.5 of my cap. But they're playing 4 games this week, and only one of those games or 2 of those games are back to back. So I project him to play 3 of those 4. And if I'm looking at the stats for goalies, goals against is -1. For every save is 0.2. Shutouts are +2. Wins are 5 points. And special team points are 1. Okay, which he won't get goals or assists most likely, but 5 wins, 5 points for a win, and they're playing Pittsburgh twice. So I'm banking on at least 10 points from a goalie. That was the focal point of my lineup.
Okay, since you started talking about points, can you run down, please, what are the points for the PBLL, just so listeners are aware?
Okay, so for skaters, every assist is 2 points. Every goal is 3 points. A blocked shot is 0.2. Every hit is 0.1. Shots on goal count for 0.5. That's a big one. Special team points, so that's a power play or shorthanded. That's 1 point. And that's it. That's it for goalie. That's it for players. Goalies, I'll say it again. Assists 2 points. Goals 3 points. Goals against -1. Every save is 0.2. Shutouts 2 points. Wins 5 points. Special team points 1.
I like it.
Nick, what else is important
Well,
to know?
Junior kind of alluded to it, which is a great segue. I could tell that he's been going to his podcasting school. Strategy of taking the most games played in the schedule for this week, because this league is a weekly locked league, meaning every Monday you could change all the players if you want, or you could change none of them. So if you're trying to maximize the amount of games played, theoretically giving you the best chance of more games played equals more points, which is not always the case.
No.
Which teams are we looking at, and what are we like? How's this strategy work moving forward?
So for week 1, we know that the team that's playing the most games are the New York Rangers. They have 4 games.
Not according to my schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong week.
You're
Maybe
in
I'm the wrong week.
You see, that's why Nick's
You're on
in the
the
wrong.
final preseason.
So New York Rangers play 4 games. They're the only team that plays 4 games. But then there's a few tricky teams that play 3 games. Now, for goaltending, 3 games, it really doesn't make a difference if your team plays 3 or 2, because most goalies, or 99.9% goalies, will not play back-to-back. So if you're looking at 3 games, you have Boston, you have Calgary, Chicago, Colorado, Florida, Kings, Montreal, Pittsburgh, Vegas, and Capitals. So there's a lot of teams that play 3 games. So what is one of the things you do is look at the opponents. Like Junior said, the New York Rangers, twice they play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is scheduled not to have a very good team this year. Like if you have one team who's playing Tampa, Toronto, and Colorado, whether they play 3 games or 4 games, it really doesn't matter because they're playing 3 tough teams. So I think that's where the schedule comes into play and can play to your advantage if you play correctly.
I just want to state, going to what you said, out of the teams that play 3 games, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Colorado Avalanche, the Florida Panthers, Pittsburgh Penguins are the teams that don't have back-to-back games, where there's a possibility that their goalie could play 3 games, but I'm not convinced any of them might play 3 games, to tell you the truth.
Well, that's very interesting because you mentioned Shesterkin, and he's playing Pittsburgh twice, maybe.
Buffalo and
Buffalo
Capitals.
once, and the Capitals. Like the only team here that you're really worried about is the Capitals. But the other teams are pretty much bottom of the Atlantic or bottom of the Metro teams. So it's interesting that New York is probably the best one to start off with here. And maybe you're convincing me in starting some New York players here. But you mentioned something else, is that so it's not only the amount of games played during the week that's important, it's also the opponents that they're playing. Like I don't want to not dress somebody that's playing 2 games a week that's a superstar necessarily if their opponent is weak. But playing 4 games against tough opponents might not be the way to go either. So you kind of have to like assess. And
Yeah.
daily faceoff gives a very
Like-
good
like-
But
breakdown.
don't be fooled by a good opponent either. I would more be fooled by a great goalie with a great system. Like, I don't know. For instance, like Florida is paying. No, not Florida.
No, like-
Colorado is playing LA, Utah, and Dallas. Are you scared to play Colorado players?
Well, no,
No, but Colorado goalies against LA, Dallas kind of scares me.
it's like, but like I would take Edmonton Oilers. They have 2 games, but they're playing Edmonton, Vancouver, both teams that didn't make the playoffs last year.
Calgary, Vancouver.
Calgary, Vancouver.
Oh, sorry, Calgary and Vancouver, and both games are at home. Whereas you take, I had them here. Where are they? You take the Devils. They're playing Carolina and Tampa Bay away from home. So that has to come into consideration. You're playing away from home. You don't have the benefit of line changes to your advantage. It works against the star players. So
What about Toronto, who plays Montreal and Detroit? Montreal is not a great defensive team. They always give Toronto.
Rivalry team.
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be
it. It's
fun.
a rivalry. And look, and don't forget, there's one more element, if you don't mind. It's the first week of the season.
yeah,
Do you remember what happened last year between Montreal and Toronto? Montreal shut out Toronto like 2-0.
Yeah.
So the first week is like
You never know.
you never know.
Nicholas, next.
So let's consider this weekly schedule strategy, and let's compare it to a balanced long-term strategy. Meaning that I set my lineup from day one. I'm picking guys that I know guaranteed are going to have good seasons. And I'm going to keep that lineup throughout the entire year, regardless of the schedule. And then in case of injury, maybe I'll swap somebody in and out, right? So a balanced long-term strategy, like a macro versus a micro strategy. Like how would that work necessarily?
So I'm assuming if you're gonna have a long-term vision, you're gonna have to have one of the top 3 NHL players in terms of points, which is McDavid, Kucherov, or McKinnon. Maybe even Draisaitl if you want to add Draisaitl. One of those top 4 guys to be sure of getting multiple points per game. And from a cap perspective, maybe Kucherov is that guy because he makes under 10 million as opposed to the other guys making 12 and over. That's how I'm seeing it. And then you're going to have some Connor Bedards. maybe some Lane Hudsons, you know, like
I think
that you know will get points, but don't that are on an ELC contract.
Your ELC contracts, the players you pick on ELC contracts are going to be the most important players you pick for this lineup. If you're going with a lineup of, I'm putting this lineup for the year, because your top guys, you know, your top guys are going to get you the points. It's those ELC contracts, or even if you think there's a player that's making like Marchenko is still making about 3 million, right?
3 points.
So you know that's where it's key. But can it steadily stay and go like that? It's first year we're doing this, so it'll be very interesting to see if there is someone who's just going to keep one lineup and go on unless there's an injury and switch. It's going to be interesting.
Sometimes changing it so often
It
is going to
doesn't work
hurt you
either. Yeah, of
because
course.
you know you're going to get bit.
It's like Nick said, just because you have the most games played doesn't mean you're going to be first in points. So
We see it so many times that
Yeah.
they'll go 2 games without scoring a goal out of those 4 or something, you know. So,
listen, if you listen to our waiver pickups, you're gonna be just fine.
but personally, if I had to choose one of those 2, I think I prefer micro to a certain to
Look,
macro.
everybody has a different way of doing it, and it doesn't mean that one way is better than the other. I know for sure that I have a strategy. I have 3 teams, so I'm going to use one strategy, right? Different strategies for all 3. But I've seen in the past where just because you play more games does not mean you're getting more points,
No,
right?
No, for sure.
So because we play with PBL,
Loose pucks.
loose pucks, right? LP, yes,
HL.
LPHL. So loose pucks hockey league, it's a weekly locked lineup.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm going to have guys in that play more games, but then I miss out on those 2 games that my star played or one of my stars plays. He gets 4 points, and the other guy that played 4 games gets 2 points. Right? There's no guarantee that just because you're playing more games is going to give you more points in the end. So
The debate on week 1 would be, let's say, do you take McDavid, who's playing Calgary and Vancouver, or do you take Panarin, who's playing 4 games? They're $1 million apart, more or less, you know?
but I really like what you guys said. Like, you guys mentioned some really good names there. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, no, then my other question is, I don't know if we have it. It's not part of our strategies, but how do you guys feel about combos? Like, if you go hero strategy, do you do example McDavid Draisaitl and then ELC the rest of the way? Do you like the combos up front?
in one of my teams, I have a combo. I have a Eichel Marner combo.
I've got Bedard and Nazar, but they don't really play together other than the power play.
But listen, it's the great thing about this league is that there's not one strategy, 2 strategies. There could be 10 strategies that people are going to use to try and outsmart the other ones. So it's going to be so interesting to see the progress of how every team goes. Like we know our strategy, so we'll be very transparent with our strategies that we have and that we're talking about. But like at one point, we might get one of the listeners in who's at the top and say, "Well, you're at the top. What are we using? Not to tell us like your secrets, but
I mean,
what kind of
everybody sees the
strategy are you
lineups
using?
anyway,
Yeah,
right?
What kind of strategy are you using that's making it that you've been on top for 2, 3, 4 weeks? It'll
and
be interesting.
discipline is going to be another thing. How fast do you change strategies if things are not going your way? You know, so it's really. I mean, the reason we came up with this, and it took us a while to come up with it. The reason we came up with this type of league is because we felt this would be the most dynamic, the most competitive, and rightfully so. I think it's not a given as to which way to go and who to pick on any given night.
I agree with you guys, and I think that you look, if we win, we're not keeping any prizes ourselves out of us 3, but like our prizes are going to go to whoever actually competes with us, the second place, maybe or third place, and like we're going to give them the money.
This was not discussed, by the way.
This was not discussed.
It might be
tiers.
reinvested
money.
into no, but we might use it towards the podcast guests or equipment or stuff like that if we win. But we're not pocketing anything, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this league is for the listeners, so we're gonna focus on the listeners here. But anyways, we'll
Nick,
talk about that. We'll talk about the key is
Why did you mention?
just beat us, because we're going after you.
Well,
We're coming after you.
if the playoff pool battle royale was any indication, it won't be hard to beat us.
No,
I was in the finals. I don't understand why this is happening. I was in the finals. Jeez.
Guys, I can't wait. I'm really
Yeah, this is gonna be
excited. The
fun.
NHL season's around the corner. We have one more draft or two more drafts left. Actually, our partial breakaway 3-man draft
yes, that is gonna come out.
It's gonna be like a bonus slash
episode
episode. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna come
for
it's
the
gonna come out on-
trillions and billions,
Billions
and
and-
because we didn't have a
Trillions,
over under,
billions,
so
millions.
I was
to
happy
mention
that
it.
those ended.
Oh,
now
no,
you brought
man.
it back.
I'm bringing that back.
We're outnumbering you in red today.
Have a good night, peeps.
Have a good week, everybody. NHL is back.
Have a good start of the season.